What's good, everybody? We are back with another Call of Duty mobile video, and if you guys watched my previous video, you probably know that there have been a lot of changes to a lot of different guns in Call of Duty mobile. Prior to the update that we received for essentially Season 2, in it we got zombies as well as a bunch of balance changes. Basically, my top video, or at least one of my top videos, was ranking every gun in Call of Duty mobile, and I feel like it was really helpful to a lot of people because it gave them kind of at least a point of comparison for a lot of guns and understanding of what different guns were useful for and everything else. And I wanted to give you guys an updated rankings for the guns in Call of Duty Mobile since they've changed a lot, and my rankings for the guns in the game have definitely changed a lot as well. If you guys haven't already, make sure you drop a like down below, and also make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're actually giving away a red Magic 3S gaming phone. That's right, one of the top gaming phones in existence right now. All you guys have to do to enter that giveaway is hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure to comment on this video and as many other videos as you can throughout the end of this year in order to have the best chance at winning. But we're going to go ahead and hop into the video. So like I said, we're actually going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So at the bottom we have the XPR. So in the previous video that I made where I played one game with every single gun in the game, I actually initially thought that the XPR was worse than the M21, but it actually has significantly lower recoil and also higher damage. So even though it's going to go down in the D category, it is going to go ahead of the M21 for me, but still a D tier gun. Next up, we got the UL-736. This used to be a really reliable gun to me. It had very little recoil and pretty high rate of fire. It feels like it got nerfed a lot in the recent patch. It feels like especially the amount of recoil that it has increased significantly. So I'm going to put it in the C category. It's going to be closer to the bottom of the C category. But essentially, we're going to try to keep that lower on the C. It's not quite a D tier gun because there are some guns that are pretty freaking useless, but I can't put it above a C category for sure. Next up, we've got the Type 25. For me, it seems like a lot of guns were nerfed. It seems like even the Type 25 was nerfed, but it seems like it was nerfed less than most of the other top tier guns, and because of that, I still have the Type 25 up in our A category because it's still an extremely useful gun, both for pub matches and also for ranked. Next up, we got the Striker. This one was surprisingly disappointing to me. It seems like they maybe decreased the damage or decrease the range that it has. It's very difficult to get kills with the Striker right now. It's probably my second least favorite shotgun, and I was actually expecting it to be one of my favorites. Next up, we got the S36. We're going to put this in the B category. It is one of the better LMGs. That being said, LMGs are never going to be an A tier gun simply because they're not terribly usable, and I think I might have actually had that one in the A tier in my first video. I feel like I definitely misplaced it in putting there, so because of that, we're definitely going to have that in B tier. Next, we got the RPD. RPD felt really good. It felt like reduced amounts of recoil whenever I was trying it out. Definitely not an A tier gun by any means, but definitely usable in a lot of situations, and it has a ridiculous magazine capacity. Next up, we got the PDW. I would say that's a higher B tier gun. It's got good damage, but very low damage per bullet, and because of that, it's just tough. It also has really, really bad range, so outside of super close range, it's not nearly as good as the MSMC, and there's not really much of a reason for you to use it over the MSMC, which I am actually going to put, this one's tough. So to me, right now, the MSMC and the Type 25 are the top two guns. I am going to rank the Type 25 ahead of the MSMC, simply because it's more versatile and has a lot more uses. Because of that, I've got the Type 25 ahead, but for me, these are the top two guns in the game right now. Next up, we got the M4. I just can't justify putting the M4 ahead of really any other assault rifle in the game. There's a reason that you get it at level 1. It's one of the worst, if not the worst, assault rifles. Very low rate of fire and very low damage. It's not an awful gun as compared to some other guns, but definitely not one that I would recommend you using by any means, and that's why we're going to put it down here. Next up, we got the M4 LMG, which previously I really didn't like. But honestly, and it could be a skewed opinion, but to me it seemed like the best LMG in the game. Previously, it had a weird circular recoil pattern that made it really inconsistent and tough to use, and it seemed to have almost no recoil whenever I used it in our gameplay yesterday. So because of that, I'm going to have the M4 LMG ahead of the S36 and the RPD in our B tier. Next up, we got the M21 once again. D tier gun. Semi-automatic sniper rifles outside of the Arctic 50 are always going to go in D tier because they're simply not reliable and they don't have any place. The M16. The M16 does seem to be boosted. It seems better than it was previously. With that being said, it still requires 2 bursts to kill somebody, and because of that, I can't justify putting it up in the B tier because it makes it very difficult to use against... Like, just the animation of the burst makes it difficult to use. That's what it is. I used to have it ranked a lot lower. I believe I had it in D tier previously, and it's definitely a lot more usable than it was before, but still not an amazing gun by any means, but definitely a little bit more useful. The LK is another weapon that was buffed in the recent update, and I actually got a lot of kills in our gameplay with it, but it felt like it was largely due to the map I was playing on and the people I was playing against, not because the gun itself was really anything too amazing. I will put it up in the B tier though. I feel like it has moved from C to B tier for me just because it has become a lot more reliable gun and could definitely be used in some situations. The HS2126 is my least favorite shotgun. I talked about it in the video. Even from like, it seems like you have to be on top of somebody to kill them with a 1 burst, which shouldn't be the way that it is for a burst shotgun. Like basically anything outside of like 10 to 15 feet is not going to 4 burst somebody, which is ridiculous. I can't justify putting it up there. It's my least favorite shotgun in the game by far. Next, we got the HS0405. Used to be my least favorite shotgun. That was probably actually my favorite shotgun. Crazy powerful. You can kill 2 people. Like, you can collap people with this shotgun. If you're accurate, it's amazing. They no longer have the glitchy animation where if you scope in, you have to wait until you've cocked the shotgun in order to unscope it. And because of that, it's definitely a lot more usable than it used to be. So that's going to go up there. Next up, we got the HG40. I'm trying to decide between low C tier and high D tier. I think I have to put it in high D tier just because it's a confusing weapon. And what it does doesn't make sense for what it's good at. It's got a super low rate of fire, which doesn't make any sense for an SMG. That being said, it has incredible range for an SMG, but because of its low rate of fire, it's not really terribly usable at all. So I've still got the HG40 down in our D tier. Definitely not a gun I would recommend using, especially if you're playing ranked. Next up, we got the DLQ-33. This is still going to be a top tier gun. And actually, the DLQ and the Arctic, in my opinion, are 2 of the most OP guns in the game right now because Call of Duty Mobile nerfed mobility so much. Number 1, with how jumping works. Number 2, with how sliding works. And number 3, with the fact that people just in general move slower after the update. Because of that, snipers are a lot more OP because you can take a lot more fights at range and it's more difficult for people to evade your shots. And also, there wasn't really anything done that I noticed to nerf snipers at all, and it seems like everything else was nerfed except for maybe 1 or 2 guns. So because of that, the DL is definitely going to be an A tier gun for me. I know that some people are going to disagree with this, especially because Noah made a video talking about it the other day. He said the Chickum is now the best SMG in the game. Noah's a good friend of mine. I'm not going to talk crap about him, but he was just wrong about that one. And I know that watching his video is going to make it seem like it's the best SMG in the game. It's not because it's the best SMG in the game. It's just because Noah is ridiculously good at Call of Duty Mobile. This gun is still trash. They decreased the amount of time in between bursts, so because of that, it's a little more reliable, and I actually didn't mean to put it ahead of the HG40. In my opinion, the HG40 is still more reliable than the Chickum. It's better than it used to be, so I no longer have it below the XPR or the M21 EBR, but still not by any means above a D-tier gun. Definitely don't recommend using it. No offense to Noah, but he's just wrong on that one. Next up, we got the Buy 15. That one was another one that surprised me with how good it felt. Almost felt better than the HS0405, and part of me is tempted to put these guns above the M21, the XPR, the Chickum, and the HG40 because in specific situations, especially in rank play, where almost all of your encounters are going to be very close range. Both of these weapons could be reliable and could be viable in ranked gameplay, especially if you have dead silence on. It gives you that element of surprise, and you're able to get closer, and you don't need to be as close as you used to in order to one-tap somebody. So because of that, Buy 15 and HS 0405 are definitely almost above D tier, in my opinion. But depends on what you're using them for, so I'm still going to have a separate case for shotguns, at least for right now. Next up, we got the BK57. This is another one that's like right on the precipice of being an A tier gun, but just because of the rate of fire, it's just not quite there. I enjoy using the gun. It's really fun to use, and in pubs I'll use it, but I just can't bring myself to use it in rank because the rate of fire isn't quite fast enough. It just can't match up with the kill time of the Ancient Runes or the Type 25, which you're going to be using in closer range. Next up, we got the ASM-10, which felt a little bit better. It didn't feel amazing. So because of that, I'm probably going to put it toward the bottom of our B tier, and it seems like I am a little bit biased here. It seems like I've got a lot of weapons in the B tier, and I might need to reorganize, but this is just in my mind where these weapons go, so I'm gonna keep them where they are, and if we decide later that we need to reorganize, essentially this is just ranking in numbers anyway, and whether or not they go in B or C, it doesn't really matter all as much because I'm ranking within the different tiers as well. Next up, we got the Arctic 50. I'm actually gonna put that ahead of the DL, because it's just ridiculous. The gun needs to be nerfed. It's basically an assault rifle that has a 50% chance, probably higher than a 50% chance of one-shotting people. If you hit them anywhere above the waist, it's an automatic one-shot, and it's ridiculous how quickly you can like either spam on this gun or spam quickscopes with it. It's so OP. I think the reason most people don't use it in ranked is simply because it's so cheesy. Like, people that use it in ranked, nobody would respect you, especially in the higher tiers. But there are some people that use the Arctic 50, and those people just make everybody in the map so mad. Oh my gosh. The AKS 74U was definitely nerfed in the recent update. It's going to move down to the B tier for me, and actually probably below the BK57. It's still better than the PDW. But they definitely increased the recoil, and it's not as reliable long range, so I'm going to put it below the BK57, but just barely. It's still a really good gun, and given the fact that you get it at level 8, definitely a really good option. At this point, I'm starting to feel like I need to reorganize a little bit because we've got like nothing in the C tier. So I'm actually going to move the M4 down to D tier. I'm going to move the LK high C tier, and probably, if I'm being totally honest, the RPD should probably be C tier as well. And honestly, probably the ASM-10 does too. It felt better, but it's still not amazing. So we're going to put the AK-47 in. I don't know where to put the AK. I think that the thing is, it performs very similarly to an LMG. You don't have a ton of mobility when you're using it. You have more mobility than you do whenever you're using an LMG. But at the same time, it's got crazy high recoil. I think because of that, I got to put it down in the C tier. It's just not terribly reliable for me. Sometimes it feels amazing. Sometimes it feels absolutely terrible. And I feel like I would just, especially, I'm never going to use it in ranked. And so a big factor that I'm looking at in this is whether or not I could use these guns in ranked. Most of these B tier guns I could use in ranked. I wouldn't usually, but I could. And I can't see myself doing that with the AK-47. And then finally, we got the AK-117 still in the A tier. Still a good gun. It's no longer the best gun in the game, and a lot of people previously would have argued that it is the best gun in the game. I have it below the Type 25 MSMC and our 2 snipers because it was nerfed. There's a significant amount of side-to-side recoil added to the gun, and because of that, it's toward the bottom of the A tier for me, but definitely still an A tier gun. So that's going to be it for our list. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I'll also leave down in the description the link to this, so if you guys would like to tweet me your different gun rankings, you can do so at BobbyBucketsYT. The link for my Twitter is down in the description as well. And over on Twitter, we are giving away a Season 2 Premium Pass. But that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the squad if you guys haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time.